Good morning, children. This session we are going to discuss about elements, symbols, metals, non-metals, metalloids, compounds, and then organic compounds. That is classification of compounds. Organic compounds, inorganic compounds, followed by specific properties of substances. These things we are going to discuss today. Elements are everywhere. They are the building blocks of everything on earth. When you are breathing, you are inhaling gas, isn't it? You inhale air. Air is a mixture of many gases like oxygen, nitrogen and argon. Okay, air is a mixture of many gases. Element. An element is a pure substance that cannot be decomposed into simpler substances by chemical methods. Okay, and at the same time, an element is made up of only one type of atoms. For example, if you hit or hammering the element gold, okay, if you hit an element gold, it would be very smaller, but each and every piece will be gold. Okay, so that's the concept behind here. Okay, children, right? So next one, we can move to the symbols. Okay, a symbol stands for some meaning. For example, if you take dove, a dove is a symbol of peace. In the same manner, we denote mathematical expressions, okay, by using symbols. For example, this symbol denotes addition, whereas this symbol denotes subtraction, isn't it? So this one is addition and this one is subtraction. Okay, so in the same manner, in chemistry, each and every element is represented by a symbol. So what is symbol? A symbol can be represented in a shortened form. Okay, a symbol, it can be represented in a shortened form. Shortened form is element, an element in which it is represented in a shortened form is called symbol. An element which can be represented in a shortened form, that is called symbol. This is the definition for symbol. Okay. Some symbols can be used most commonly elements. Some symbols of most common elements, mainly non-metals, use their first letter of their English name. Okay. So some symbols, most commonly non-metals, use their first letter of their English name. For example, look at this table. So this is the name of the element, whereas this is the symbol. Okay. If you take boron element, its symbol is B. Okay. The first letter is B. So the symbol of boron is B. Next one, carbon. Okay, carbon element and its symbol is C. Whereas oxygen, for oxygen, its symbol is O. Next, hydrogen, its symbol is H. Whereas for nitrogen, the symbol is N. And for sulfur, the symbol is S. These are mainly the most probably non-metals. Okay, non-metals use their first letter of their English name. So this is the first letter for boron, isn't it? So the symbol is also B. And first letter of carbon is C. So its symbol is C. First letter of oxygen is O. So symbol is O. Hydrogen, first letter is H, isn't it? At the same time, for nitrogen, first letter is N. And for sulfur, first letter is S. And you should use the first letter in uppercase, that is in For example, look at this table. Here name of the element is given. This side symbol is given. Okay. First one barium, right? Barium. Its symbol is Ba. So first letter is B. Second letter is A. First letter should be in uppercase, that is in capital letter, and second letter should be in lower case, that is in small letter. Okay. If the two elements have the, I repeat again, if two elements have the same initial letter, then the name first letter as well as second letter, okay, first letter and second letter should be taken as symbol for that particular element, and first letter should be in uppercase and second letter should be in lower case. If you take this second element beryllium, both the first letter of the element is starts with B. Okay, so we can take the barium element symbol as Ba. Whereas if you take beryllium element, we have to take the first letter as well as third letter, right? This one B and this one R. So B, first one B, second one is C. Sorry, second letter we have to take first letter and second letter, isn't it? So first letter should be in uppercase and second letter should be in lower case. So the symbol of beryllium is Be. Okay, for some elements we have to take the first letter as symbol. For some elements we have to take the second letter as symbol. Okay, some elements, for some elements first letter as well as second letter we have to take. So for this element beryllium, first letter is B, second letter is E. So the symbol of beryllium element is Be. Right? Next one, see the third one, bromine. The name of the element is bromine. Here the first letter is B, at the same time the second letter C, second letter is R, isn't it? So the symbol of bromine is Br. Got it? Right. Next one, the symbol of the element is hydrogen. For hydrogen we have to use the first letter only, isn't it? Okay. See the next element, helium. This letter also starts with the first letter H. At the same time, the second letter we have to take. Why? Because already we have used this symbol H for hydrogen. Here we have to take the first letter and second letter. So first letter is hydrogen H and second one is E. H. First letter H, second one is E. So the symbol is He. Okay, He means it mentions helium element, whereas H represents hydrogen element, B represents beryllium element, whereas Ba represents barium element. Okay, and the last one, see the name of the element is nickel. Okay, and its symbol is Ni. First letter is N, second letter is I. See the first letter, all the first letters should be in uppercase, and see the second letter, everything it is in the lower case. So like that we have to write the symbol. Got it, children? Right. Some symbols used there on the basis of their Latin names or Greek names. Okay. So for example, look at this table. Here element name is given, its Latin name is given, and also symbol is given. If you see the first element is sodium, its Latin name is natrium. Okay, what is the Latin name of sodium? The Latin name of sodium is natrium and its symbol is Na. Okay, Na represents sodium element. Its Latin name is natrium. Got it? Right. Next one, copper element. Okay, the Latin name of copper element is cuprum. Okay, cuprum, and its symbol is Cu. Here also first letter should be in what? Uppercase, second letter should be in lower case, right? So next one, silver. The Latin name is argentum. Okay, Latin name is argentum, and its symbol is Ag. Ag represents silver element, right? Next one, gold. Okay, what is the Latin name of gold? The Latin name of gold is Aurum. Okay, so its symbol is Au. Okay, symbol is Au. Next one, element name is iron. Got it? Right. And what is the Latin Sorry, what is the Latin name of iron? The Latin name of iron is ferrum. Okay, and the symbol is Fe. Got it? Symbol is Fe. Next, name of the element is lead. Its Latin name is plumbum. Its symbol is Pb. Pb represents plumbum. Okay, plumbum is the Latin name of lead. And finally, name of the element is tin. Its Latin name is stannum and its symbol is Sn. Okay. So like that, some symbols are named based on their Greek names or Latin names. First one is the sodium. Its Latin name is natrium. Symbol is Na. Copper, cuprum, Cu, silver, argentum, Ag, gold, aurum, Au, iron, ferrum, Fe, lead, plumbum, Pb, tin, stannum, Sn. Got it, children? Right? So shall we move to the next one? So what is the symbol? Symbol means an element is represented by a shortened form called as symbol. It's a 2-mark question, right? So next we can move to metals. Metals, okay. So before that, see, elements can be classified into metals, non-metals and metalloids. Okay, elements can be classified into metals, non-metals and metalloids. Right, children? First, let me discuss about metals. Copper, gold, silver, iron, and then aluminium, calcium, mercury, okay, nickel. So these zinc, these are some of the metals that we use in our daily life. Got it, children? Right. Next we can move to the general properties of metals. That is, metals have some specific physical properties. So what are the properties of metals? First, if you take, usually metals are solid under room temperature and pressure. At ordinary conditions of temperature and pressure, metals are solid in nature. Okay. Usually metals shine. Okay, usually metals are shiny in appearance. The typical shine of the metal is called metallic luster. Okay. Metals have high melting point as well as boiling point. Metals have high density. Got it? Right. Metals can be hammered or beaten. Okay, both have same meaning only. Metals can be beaten into very thin sheets. This tendency of metal is called malleability. Okay, metals can be hammered into very thin sheets. This tendency of metal is called malleability. Okay, for example, aluminium. Aluminium make use of this property to transform into silvery foils. We are using silvery foils, no. So that is nothing but aluminium. It is a metal only. Okay, so metals can be beaten into very thin sheets. Next, metals can be drawn into thin wires. Okay, metals can be drawn into very thin wires. Example, what example we can say? Yes, copper wires. Okay. Next, metals conduct both heat and electricity. Okay, metals conduct both heat and electricity. Metals produce sound on being hit. Okay, on being hit, metals produce sound. So this is called sonorous in nature. Sonorous is nothing but sound. This property is mainly used in making temple bells. Okay, so these are the physical properties of metals. It's a 5-mark question, or otherwise you will get in 3 marks. Okay, so what are the general properties of metals? Metals are solids under normal conditions of temperature and pressure. Okay, metals have high melting point and boiling point. Metals have high density. Metals are shiny in appearance. So the metallic, it is called the metallic metals on B10 metals can be made into very thin sheets. This property is called malleability, and metals can be drawn into thin wires. This property is called ductility. These are the general properties of metals. Got it, children? Right. So next we can move to non-metals. Okay, non-metals. What are the examples we can say for non-metals? Sulfur. Non-metals that is sulfur, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon. These are some of the non-metals. Okay, so non-metals they occur at solids, liquids as well as in the gaseous state. That is, non-metals occur in all the three states of matter. Okay, for example, nitrogen. Okay, for example, sulfur and phosphorus. Sulfur and phosphorus, if you take, it occurs in the solid state. Okay, whereas if you take bromine, it occurs in the liquid state. And what about gas? Of course, we can say oxygen, nitrogen will occur in the gaseous state. So non-metals occur in all the three states of matter, that is solids, liquids and gases. Okay. Like metals, non-metals are not hard in nature. But if you take diamond, diamond is a form of carbon only, even though it will come under non-metal, but diamond is very hard in nature. It is very hardest naturally occurring substance. Which one? Diamond. Okay, diamond is the hardest naturally occurring substance. Okay, non-metals are soft. Okay, non-metals are generally soft, but carbon is the hardest naturally occurring substance. Carbon is nothing but a non-metal. Okay, next non-metals have low density when compared to metals. Okay, non-metals have low melting point as well as boiling point. Okay, non-metals are not malleable in nature. Malleable means what we saw? Metals can be hammered into thin sheets, but non-metals are non-malleable. At the same time, non-metals are non-ductile in nature. Ductile is what we saw in metals. Metals can be drawn into thin wires. That is called ductility, isn't it? But if you take non-metals, non-metals are generally non-ductile in nature. Okay. Next, non-metals, they usually do not conduct electricity. But if you take graphite, graphite is a form of carbon. It conducts electricity. Okay, metals usually conducts electricity as well as heat, but non-metals do not conduct electricity. But at the same time, graphite is a form of carbon. It is a non-metal only. So graphite conducts electricity. Okay. Next, non-metals do not produce sound. Okay. If you take metal, on being hit, metals produce sound, but non-metals do not produce sound. Got it, children? This is the difference between metals and non-metals. Got it? Understood? Shall we move to the next one? Good. Next, we can move to metalloids. What is meant by metalloid? Metalloids means an element which exhibit both metallic character as well as non-metallic character. When an element contains both metallic properties as well as non-metallic properties, then it will come under the category of metalloids. Okay. For example, boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, polonium. These are some of the metalloids. Got it? These are some of the metalloids. Metalloids means what? The elements which possess both metallic character as well as non-metallic character are called the metalloids. Got it, children? Clear? Shall we move to the next one? Yes. So next we can move to the classification of compounds. Okay. Before that, first you should know about compound. What do you mean by compound? Already in the previous classes we discussed about compound. A compound is composed of two or more separate elements, isn't it? So this is called a compound. For example, water, carbon dioxide, sodium chloride. These are some of the examples of compounds. Okay. So what do you mean by compound? A compound is composed of two or more separate elements. water. Why we are saying water is a compound? Because water is composed of hydrogen as well as oxygen. What's the formula of water? H2O, isn't it? The formula of water is H2O. So, a water molecule consists of one oxygen atom as well as two hydrogen atoms. Okay. So, it is a separate element. Hydrogen is a separate element. Oxygen is a separate element. Both the elements combine to form a compound water. Hence, water is a compound. Okay. Compound is composed of two or more separate elements. Example: water, carbon dioxide, and sodium chloride. Right. Next, classification of compounds. We can classify the compounds into two types. What are they? First one, organic compounds. Another is inorganic compound. Okay. What is the difference between organic compound and inorganic compound? If you take organic compound, compounds which are obtained from living sources or living organisms. Okay. That is called organic compound. What do you mean by organic compound? Compounds which are obtained from living organisms or living sources. Hence it is called compounds can be classified into two types. One is the organic compound and inorganic compounds. And the organic compound is compounds which are obtained from living organisms are called organic compound. What are the examples we can say for organic compound? Fats, proteins, carbohydrates. These are nothing but organic compounds, isn't it? Why? Because they are obtained from living sources. Got it? Right. Next we can go to inorganic compounds. What do you mean by inorganic compounds? Compounds which are obtained from non-living sources or non-living organisms are called inorganic compounds. Okay, compounds which are obtained from non-living sources such as rocks, minerals. If you take rocks and minerals, these will come under the category of non-living things, isn't it? So, compounds which are obtained from non-living things or non-living sources are called inorganic compounds. Example: rocks. That is, rocks and minerals are inorganic only. What are the examples we can say? This chalk. This chalk is nothing but what? It's a chemical one, isn't it? So, chalk as well as baking powder. Baking powder is nothing but sodium bicarbonate. Okay. So, these are some of the examples of inorganic compound. So, what is the difference between organic and inorganic compound? Organic compound obtained from living organisms. Inorganic compound obtained from non-living organisms. Okay. So, this is the difference between organic and inorganic compounds. Got it, children? Shall we move to the next one? Good. So, next we can go to specific property of substances. Okay. There are some specific properties of substances like deliquescence, efflorescence, malleability, ductility. Okay. And another one is efflorescence. So, these are some of the properties of substances. Okay. So, what is the first one? Deliquescence. What is meant by deliquescence? It is now the property of certain compounds take up the moisture present in the atmosphere. Okay. Some compounds take up the moisture which is present in the atmosphere and becomes wet when exposed. This is called the deliquescence. Okay. What is meant by deliquescence? The property of certain compounds take the moisture present in the atmosphere and becomes wet when exposed. This is called deliquescence. Okay, it's a 2-mark question, otherwise sometimes you will get in detailed answer, right? Next, what is meant by hygroscopicity? Hygroscopicity. Okay, some compounds combine with the moisture of atmosphere and are converted into hydroxides and hydrates. Okay, some compounds combine with the moisture of atmosphere. Okay, note down this one. Some compounds combine with the moisture moisture of atmosphere, and these are converted into hydrates and hydroxides. This is called the hygroscopicity. For deliquescence, I told you what are the examples we can say for deliquescence? Sodium hydroxide as well as potassium hydroxide we can say as an example. If you take the sodium hydroxide in a watch glass, okay, when it is exposed to air, after some time if you observe the sodium hydroxide, it is somewhat watery in nature. Okay, so sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide will come under the deliquescence, examples of deliquescence. Whereas if we take hygroscopicity, here anhydrous copper sulfate as well as calcium oxide we can say as example. Why? Because those compounds combine with the moisture of atmosphere and are converted into hydrates as well as hydroxides. Got it, children? Right. Next one, efflorescence. Okay, what is the meaning for efflorescence? Here, some crystalline substances lose their water of crystallization. They lose their crystallization on exposure and become powdery on the surface. This is called efflorescence, and these salts are called efflorescent salts. Okay, I repeat again. Efflorescence means some crystalline substances lose their water of crystallization on exposure and become powdery on the surface. This is called efflorescence, and these salts are called efflorescent salt. For example, we can say anhydrous sodium carbonate as well as ferrous sulfate also. Here we can say ferrous sulfate also we can say as an example. Here we can say sodium carbonate. Okay. So next one, malleability. Already we have discussed about malleability, isn't it? What I told you for malleability, malleability means what? Metals can be hammered into very thin sheets. This tendency of metal is called malleability. Gold, silver, copper, aluminium, lead. These are some of the examples, even aluminium. These are some of the examples for malleability. If you take gold, gold is the most malleable metal. Right, children? Next we can go to ductility. Ductility, third one after fluorescence, fourth one is malleability, fifth one is ductility. Okay, ductility means what? Metals can be drawn into very thin wires. Okay, this property is called ductility. Example, copper, gold, silver, aluminium, iron. These are some of the examples of ductility. And if you take platinum metal, platinum is the most ductile metal. Got it, children? Right. So next one, brittleness. Brittleness means what? When a solid substance is beaten by anything, beaten by some substances or on hammering, it becomes powdery in nature, isn't it? So that is called the brittleness. So this is also one of the property of the substances. Okay, what are the specific properties of substances? First one, deliquescence. Second one, hygroscopicity. Third one, efflorescence. Fourth one, malleability. Fifth one, ductility. And the last one is discussed about brittleness. Okay, children. So this question will come under Kumar question or otherwise detailed answer. Define deliquescence, or sometimes if you will see the question like that. Explain the specific properties of substances, means you have to explain about each and everything. Okay, that's all, children. So what are the things we discussed today? Elements, symbols, metals, non-metals, metalloids, compounds, its classification, organic and inorganic, and then we discussed about the specific properties of substances. Okay, so all the questions, what are the things we discussed today, everything you have to go through once and you have to write one time. This is your assignment. Thank you, children.